welcome to the channel where I'm playing some more Disgaea RPG, and we're going to be doing another unit review, this time looking at Raspberyl Xeno, who is going to be on one of these fiercest Overlord banners, so a proper decent unit to start off with because they always have the highest stats. So we're going to go through all her details, break her down, and just see how good she generally is. So, this time, Raspberyl is a humanoid, and she is a bow user, which she will be on your team because that's how she deals damage, and she is going to be a monstrous damage dealer. So stats wise, she's got that high attack, perfect for her, it's going to be great. Speed, 54, so average speed, not too bad, 54 is alright. Attribute wise, she's got a high fire one, 25% on the wind, but everything else 0. And then we look at these weapon mastery, because I'd have a look at staff, which is level 9. So, getting spells and stuff, you've got a slight little boost there at 9, so you're going to need a little bit less mana. And guys, if you do enjoy the video, please do hit like, and if you want to see more Disgaea RPG content, then please do subscribe to the channel. So let's check out her evilities, her skills, and her spells. Let's just see how good she really is, and I think she is a pretty decent unit. So first off, I will happily say that she is going to be the highest damage bow user we've got currently on global, and she probably will be for a little while. So let's kick it off then with her leader ability, which is high strung. Basic parameters of party bow weapon equipped characters plus 15%. Perfect. Great leader skill. Everyone's getting their stats buffed. 15%. Top notch there. NE plus 1. Mean Girl Soul. All damage dealt when you equip a bow weapon plus 50%. Boom. There it is. There's the big damage one. 50% damage dealt is ridiculous. If you are new to the game and you're wondering what's better out of having high attack and damage dealt, well, attack and damage dealt are calculated differently. So the attack is going to stack, and when it does stack in normal gameplay, it stacks up to 500%, and then it caps out. Damage dealt is going to be on top of that. So damage dealt is always the important wording when you're looking for a big damage user. Attack-wise can be acquired anywhere else, because you can get the Brave Hearts, Mega Brave Hearts, that sort of thing. The most important thing you want to see is damage dealt, and she has this here with 50%. I mean, it's only a bow, but 50% is massive. Lucy, who's also a bow user, she has 40% damage dealt. I think that's for all attacks though. But with Raspberyl's stats and the extra 10%, you can really notice it. So her NE5, perfect selfie. If there are 2 or more enemies at the beginning of the turn, your attack and resistance plus 30% for 2 turns. So I would definitely expect this one to stack, so for 2 turns, so it's going to end up being 60% attack and resistance after 2 turns, and then that will carry on for the rest of the battle unless she is debuffed, which is really good. So it's pretty much a friend power built in, and increasing her resistance is very good as well. It's going to make her less squishy against intelligence-based enemies who are doing those high intelligence-based attacks, so it's going to help her out. And if I'm thinking correctly, which I think it is, I think bow has a bit of a resistance stat attached to the bow weapon anyway, so that's going to increase that as well. So that's very good. So she's then hitting harder, and she's also getting that more survivability for having that high resistance, so she's very good so far. And this NE plus 7, popularity click. At the end of the turn, the party's action gauge plus 100. That is also great. Everyone in the entire team is getting that action gauge buff by 100. You're going to notice that because the action gauge at the bottom of the screen is 1000. You're skipping 10% of that. If you've got your buffers, got some speed buffs on them, or there's generally fast units, their turns are going to be going super quick, and they're going to be adding up, and they're going to be generally really good. Not going to really affect things like cheesing some levels. Say with the ones that say at the start of wave, you can sort of help them to cheese you through certain events, but this one's just at the end of Raspberyl's turn, but it is still really good. Her skills: G Rule Recycle. Her AoE attack, which you want your unit to have, that's a damage per second unit. It makes them a lot more versatile on the damage that they can deal out, and this is her cheap one. As I said, it's AoE. All of her skills are attack based, I will say that now, and this is just always great to see. There's no extra buff or debuff attached to it, no element attached to it, so just a nice standard one. Her second skill, G-Rule Photogenic. This is her single target attack, C to B damage, cost wise, still fairly cheap, and it debuffs the enemy's intelligence by 12%. But so remember, it's only a single one, so whoever you hit is getting the debuff. And then at level 200, she learns G-Rule Meteor Swipe. E to D damage, mid-ranging to expensive, an AoE attack with a fire attribute attached to it, but it's got this great wording of damage calculation with the lower of the enemy's defense or resistance. So whatever your enemy's lower stat is, be that defense or resistance, regardless of that this is an attack-based skill, is hitting the enemy's lower of defense or resistance. So very good, very big damage coming out of that one, especially if you're going up against an enemy that has got really high defense, and then this would have done not as much damage, but they've got quite low resistance, and this is going to absolutely cane them. And then we move on to the NE plus 3 skill she learns, G-Rule Photo Abyss, an S to S plus damage move, single attack again, but also this time a buff to herself. This one also has that fire attribute attached to it. Expensive, but just dropped down a bit when leveled up, but it's still on the more expensive side. But it's S damage, so we can expect that. It also buffs her attack by 30% and her resistance again by 5%. So there's a big theme going on here. She likes having her resistance and her attack buffed. I mean, who doesn't? And then her magic spells, what she got going on for here. Lots of fire moves. All the fire moves, so the single fire attack and then all the AoE fire attacks. And then she has her debuffing one of Armor Break and Mega Armor Break, which she learns at 22. Something nice to have, something different. I've noticed that on the raid, having someone who has Mega Armor Break is really handy. But if Raspberyl is going to be your main damage dealer, her using this spell that often, probably not too much. But later down the line, when her role changes from damage per second to more of a secondary unit, more of a support unit, then Mega Armor Break can come in handy, but we just know it's not as loved as Mega Braveheart, we know that much. But anyway, these fire ones, I think I would have preferred something different. She's already got 2 fire attacks in her skills that she learns, so I would have preferred something else here. Just my thought on that. Because the attribute shields down the line and become an effect, I would have preferred to have a bit more versatility there. Maybe if it's just a wind or something, I wouldn't have really cared, but anything slightly different would have been good for me. But I do understand that they have to sort of stick to a theme sometimes and not make units too OP, so it's fine. I would have just liked it a little bit different. As you can tell, she's a very good unit. Magic spells wise is the slight downer for me, but they're alright still. Mega Armor Break, you will get use out of that. The fire ones, probably not so much because she is more of an attack-based unit and these are intelligence-based moves. Probably won't see as much use out of them as such because she already does have these 2 fire moves here. So let's have a look how much her attack is stacking up because it will stack up quite well. 60% after 2 turns. She uses this big move here, then she's at 90% attack buff. That's almost 2 Mega Bravehearts just from self-buffing herself, which is really good. So what does she do for the party? Because we know she's buffing herself quite a lot. Stats wise, only this 15%, but it's all stats, so it is good in that respect because there everyone's going to be a little bit less squishy. And if you want to do a little bit of damage, which you might want to, you might not want to, depending on their role. If they're buffers, then the less squishiness comes in handy. If they're like your secondary attackers, if you do have that option in your team, then extra 15% attack on them is good as well. And she's also got that NE7 where she is giving them an action gauge boost as well of plus 100, which is decent. Not doing too much else there, even on her skill. She's not buffing anyone else in the team, not debuffing the enemy too much. I mean, she's got that intelligence debuff, but the amount of use you're going to see out of G-Rule Photogenic, I don't think it'll be too high. For me, I think you'll be tending to focus on this cheap AoE attack, and then if you're not using that, you're saving up and skipping that one, and mostly going for either the G-Rule Meteor Swipe, or if you want to deal some big damage on a boss, then the G-Rule Photo Abyss. This is going to be her raid killing move for sure. You're going to wipe out the secondary units as you would with the G-Rule Recycle. and then you're going to focus on saving up her SP for that G rule Photo Abyss. And then I think you'd see the most use out of the Meteor Swipe one is probably, say, on Advents and Conquest, those sort of things. Maybe even on the new Overlord's Towers that'll be out. Because I think this... Because I will have recorded this before the Overlord's Tower comes out, I don't know what the gimmicks are on them ones, but definitely for the previous ones, if you haven't got that far yet, which goes up to 35, I think, currently. It's been a while since it's been on them. But they got to 35. There's some awkward ones in there, so having that wording in there is going to help you out on them ones if you're struggling. And overall, top unit. Damage-wise, easily going to be S-tier damage, for sure, on the attack-wise. Her role is going to be dealing massive damage, and she's going to do that really well. She's not stupidly fast, which is good. As your damage unit, you want your buffers going ahead of her, so 54 is good. Because I wouldn't really want to put too many pairs of boots on her. Maybe one pair of boots, and then you're going to be wanting the Orion's belts that are the current rank 40 belt, giving her some extra attack, and she will just rip the enemy to shreds. It's really weird seeing Raspberyl though as a human. I'm too used to now seeing her in a stupid little nerdy teacher gimmick outfit. She's one of the units that I've not been too keen on in the story, but hopefully Raspberyl Xeno can change my mind on that. I just find her a little bit annoying in the actual story. But for this review, we have tried to remain as positive as possible, because I've been a little bit negative on past units. But we're keeping it positive. Yay! And she's amazing. Summoning wise, will I be summoning for Raspberyl Xeno? No. Not because she's bad, but because my quartz are limited. And I've already got a video out with my targets, and my next target is going to be Diaz, who's at the end of this month. So all quartz going on him, and so Raspberyl's going to skip. And because she's a fiercest overlord, badass unit, she will be on plenty of banners in the future, so I'll have my chance to get her then. But for now, she is a bit of a skip for me. With people who are needing a damage dealing unit, perfect. She is fantastic for that. But there you have it, guys. That's my thoughts on Raspberyl Xeno. Let me know in the comments what you think of her. Is she a target for you, someone you're going to be summoning on at all? Or will you just do like a few YOLO summons? I know some people do that. I tend to ignore that myself. Unless I'm tend to going for pity, I tend to skip a unit. As annoying as that weekly mission is where you have to spend 1,000 quartz, I think I'm at the point now where I'm going to have to skip that, because the pity is more important than the prism hides, which is painful to say. But quartz are limited, so that's where we're at. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like. And like I said earlier, if you want to watch more Disgaea RPG content, then please do hit subscribe. Bye.